Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Well, Nepal is at a pivotal moment in its history, with the youth-led protests sweeping the nation and demanding a chance in leadership. Amidst this political turbulence, three distinct figures have emerged as front runners to lead the country's interim government, each representing a unique path for Nepal's future. Starting with Sushila Karki, the first female Chief Justice of Nepal, educated at Banaras Hindu University. Karki has long been a staunch advocate for judicial independence and anti-corruption. Her reputation for integrity and a political stance has made her a preferred choice amongst young activists seeking transparent and accountable governance. Next is Kulman Ghising, the technocrat credited with ending decades of chronic power shortages in Nepal. An engineer trained in India, Ghising rose to prominence as the managing director of the Nepal Electricity Authority, where he transformed a loss-making institution into a model of efficiency and financial stability. Finally, there is Balendra Shah, popularly known as Balan, the independent mayor of Kathmandu, a former rapper and structural engineer educated in Karnataka, India. His tenure as mayor has been marked by reforms in urban management, tackling corruption and implementing visible changes in public infrastructure. Meanwhile, 38 Indians stranded in the country were safely brought back to India through the Raxaul border in Bihar with the assistance of the Indian embassy in Kathmandu. More than 200 Telugu people stranded in Nepal have also been successfully evacuated and escorted to Kathmandu airport, with many already reaching Indian territory safely. We'll talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the platform is Ambassador Veena Sikhri, former diplomat, Major General Dhruv Katoch, senior defense expert, also with us on the show, and he's the director of India Foundation. Major General Omnath Dwivedi, defense expert, is joining us from Nepal. And last but not the least, Pathakrit Pine, foreign affairs expert, is also with us on the program. All right, Ambassador Sikhri, I'll begin with you, ma'am. What does Nepal need at this point in time? Does it need the infusion of youth and vitality, or does it need the experience and the sapience of someone who knows how to handle a broken state?
Well, certainly at this moment, they need somebody with experience and patience. And we should be very, very glad that the president of Nepal, Ramchandra Paudel, and the chief of army staff, General Ashok Raj Sigdel, they have really brought the situation to a point where the violence has more or less ended. The army is out. There is curfew. But the point is that whether it's the inexperience of youth or whether they've been egged on by others, the demands by the youth are all anarchical. They're all set for what they themselves describe as a rajyata, because the demands are that you dissolve parliament, all members should resign. And then the attack is on the democratic institutions of Nepal, whether it's the Singha Darbar, the seat of the government, whether it's the parliament building, whether it is the Supreme Court building or the Anti-Corruption Commission, the political parties' headquarters. So all the existing political institutions and the democratic institutions have come under this huge attack, indicating they should end, so that even if the elections are held, there should be no political parties at all. And in this sense, there is this great parallel you can draw between what has happened here and what has been happening in Bangladesh. But whereas in Bangladesh, the violence was very similar, the release of prisoners from jail was very similar. The attack on the youth, and then the moment the policemen were trying to prevent them and people died in the police attack, then of course this huge hue and cry calling leader Sheikh Hasina fascist and so on, asking for her removal. All that is similar, but the Chief of Army Staff taking a stance day before yesterday, giving an address to the nation with the support of the president, saying that the army is prepared to be firm in bringing the violence to an end, has had a salutary effect. So now the question is of the discussions taking place at the army headquarters. The President Ramchandra Paudel and the army chief are fully involved in those discussions. And as you have quite rightly pointed out, from just one name yesterday, there are more than, or three names at least, if not more. And the demands of the Gen Z and the Hami Nepal, these two NGOs which are agitating outside, saying that the rights are being taken away and so on. So the situation is not yet normal, but I do think that an interim government is likely to be formed. And if that interim government is able to bring the situation under control, elections should be held. But the elections should be constitutional, and the elections have to be free, fair, and inclusive. This is another thing, that you can't have elections where you yourself decide beforehand that certain people will not take part. This is what is happening in Bangladesh. And if you do the same thing here, it will not mean an end to the stability. It will not bring an end to this kind of instability. It will lead to further instability. So actually, the whole statement made by President Ramchandra Podial today has been that he's going to be constitutional. He's going to follow the constitution. And this is a very important and significant point that he has made, because as long as you stay within the constitution as it is presently formulated, after the elections, if the elected parties want to change the constitution, that is, of course, their own decision, and within the bounds of the political facilities given by the constitution itself. But right now, it is important to remain constitutional, because otherwise anarchy will take over. The last 2 3 days have seen these strong anarchic tendencies, and this absolute, out of the blue, all over the country, you have this, extreme violence emerging. It has been really unnerving. And I think our Prime Minister has made the correct stance. India is nowhere in this picture. This is an entirely internal matter for Nepal. And our Prime Minister has expressed his deepest condolences for those who have lost their lives, and has asked for the return of peace, complete peace, and the constitutional process in Nepal.